Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining us on this. I keep wanting to say March 4th all day. I've been writing it. It's April 4th, our first full week of April. I'm going to keep saying that so I can remember. Lisa, Scott, Dylan. It's April. It should be spring-like. We're going to talk about how it's not going to be spring-like starting tomorrow. That major storm everyone's talking about, it's actually happening. So we'll get all the details from Dylan in a second. I want to remind you, though, of course, you can watch this live every weekday morning, anytime on your Facebook feed as well. We're also on our InForum YouTube channel, and we make this into a podcast. So if you're into podcasts, go to inforum.com/podcast and look for the InForum Minute, and you can listen to it there as well, because you're not going to want to miss out on this weather talk, especially. We have some breaking news headlines as well this morning, but the big breaking news is the weather.
Yeah, yesterday was really mean to us, wasn't it?
Oh, it was so gorgeous.
It was so nice, but it was just like, all right.
It was like,
we all know it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This morning it's not terrible out temperature-wise. A little breezy out there, keeping temperatures warm, but there is freezing drizzle. There's been freezing drizzle reported in Grand Forks, Detroit Lakes. I know up at Devil's Lake there's been a few flurries. There was a little bit of light drizzle here in Fargo, I believe, but it didn't really do much. But there's also slippery spots.
Yeah.
Temperatures are just below freezing, so all that melting we did yesterday is now kind of frozen once again. So I slipped on the sidewalk earlier on, and there's just a slippery spot. I was fine.
Are you okay?
No, I didn't actually fall. I just slipped.
oh,
Okay.
Sometimes that's worse.
I am tall, but I am also steady on my feet.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna fall now in the next weekend first
Now that
days,
you
but
say that.
hopefully I don't. Anyways, there are slick spots out there, and the temperatures will stay relatively steady, upper 20s, low 30s today, which is pretty cold for April, of course. We all know that. And yeah, so that's the story for today, and then we're watching, of course, for tomorrow and Wednesday, the big major winter storm that is moving on in. Snow accumulations probably around a foot for most of us. That's a pretty good bet. And then, of course, it's going to be the heavy wet snow. That's going to be no good. With all of that, we're going to have very strong wind gusts, probably top close to 60 miles per hour,
Jeez.
50, 55 miles per hour. It's going to be a blizzard. There's no doubt about it. Possibly the worst system of the year. Now, of course, we don't know until after we look and assess it, but this has a potential to be one of the worst of the year. And you're not traveling tomorrow night, you're not going to travel Wednesday morning, and Wednesday night things will start to clear up, but you're going to be digging out. I mean, there's going to be drifts out on obstacles like buildings and trees that will probably be 5 to 10 feet tall. I mean, open areas, the interstates will be closed, I'm sure, sometime in the day. Probably Tuesday evening, probably much of the day Wednesday, just looking at the forecast. It's going to be ugly. So
I'm glad you're saying that. We were talking about this upstairs in the newsroom. People are actually already saying, okay, how are we going to get to work?
Yeah.
Our school's going to call off
I know there's
early.
2 concerts on Thursday too. The Chili Peppers
I
and
know. I have tickets to
Lil
the
Wayne. I think
Red Hot
something
Chili
like that.
Peppers. Oh, is that at Shields Arena? Fargo-Moorhead is the Chili Peppers.
Yes, and I think there's 2 concerts, and I have, people coming down from Grand Forks Thursday. I mean, Thursday it's still going to be windy, and if we get snow Tuesday, Wednesday, a foot of snow, that's a rough estimate for most of us.
Yeah.
Some of us will get more than a foot of snow. And then we get 60 mile per hour winds through, Tuesday night and Wednesday. The winds won't be gusting up to 60 all the way throughout the day Wednesday, but even gusting up to 40, plows aren't going to get out and plow it if it's still blowing snow, because their work is just going to disappear in, an hour anyway.
Yeah.
And Thursday it's still going to be windy. We'll still have wind gusts up to 30, 35 miles per hour, which is not 60, but if you think about the impacts, we have a foot of snow on the ground, 30 mile per hour winds, it's still going to be blowing around. And until this wind dies down, then of course the crews can start out there and getting on the roads and maintaining them. But I'm sure the interstates will be closed for Tuesday night, Wednesday, and we'll see. But it's going to be big impacts for this system. So there's a possibility of power outages with this too, just because this is a heavy wet snow, and combine that with it might stick to power lines, plus wind gusts that could, of course, whip the power lines around in those rural areas. So yeah, this is probably one of the nastiest storms of the season. So something to take serious about for sure.
Plan ahead.
Yes,
Prepare.
no, absolutely. Yeah, today is your day to prepare. Grocery stores are going to be a zoo. That's what I like to call it. I have to go grocery shopping. I always go grocery shopping on Mondays, but as I was talking to Lydia earlier, it just pans out that my grocery shopping on a Monday is right before a winter storm. So those are always the
That's
craziest
good.
days.
You'll be there to help everyone get everything off the top shelf. Everyone's going to need your help.
And give them all personalized
Oh
forecasts.
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Say hi to Dylan.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go.
He will help you out if you need
Which
something off the
Hornbachers will
top
it be
shelf.
at?
Maybe I won't go to any. I'm gonna send in a secret shopper. They're gonna do all my shopping for me.
Okay. Well, we're obviously going to continue to monitor the storm
Yep,
system.
yep.
We're going to have you live on First News the next couple mornings.
Maybe we should put you out live.
You're the expert. You got to be out there.
You're ready for that one.
He
You would,
was.
but you know,
Yes,
you're
just
the,
don't know.
What
you're
about
the
you?
weather
What
expert.
about you? You can be the expert.
I don't have a
So-
meteorology degree.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. Maybe I'll send Lydia.
If
out
you
there.
weren't so smart,
Shoot.
she's like, what?
Lydia just said
Just,
no.
it's okay.
It's okay. I'll be out there. I'll take
You
one
will.
for the team. I've taken many for the team already.
We
It's
appreciate
okay.
it.
Want me to bring my sleds in again? And
Maybe after.
after, okay, that's Friday.
Okay.
All right,
yeah.
Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan.
Thanks.
All right, let's jump into some of our news headlines this morning. New this morning, we now know the name of a man who Moorhead police arrested in connection with the shooting that happened over the weekend in Fargo. Fargo police officers were called to a hospital in town after a patient showed up with gunshot injuries. That was yesterday afternoon around 4. Police then learned that the shooting actually happened in a parking lot near the 4700 block of 13th Avenue South. Moorhead police actually made the arrest, 38-year-old Greg Berry of Fargo. Police say the victim and Berry do know each other. Berry is in jail right now in Clay County. He's facing charges of reckless endangerment and attempted murder. At this point, although we do know the victim had gunshot wounds, the victim is expected to be okay.
New this morning, one person is in jail following a 3-car accident that happened in Grand Forks overnight. Police were called out to the intersection of North Washington and Demers Avenue just before 9 o'clock last night. The driver of the first vehicle was making a turn. They ran into a car. Then that car hit another car that was next to it. The people in the 2 cars that were hit are okay, but the driver of the first car that caused the accident, that's 31-year-old Sean Schweigert. He was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Later, he was arrested for several drug-related charges. We are working to learn what exactly those charges are this morning.
Today, the North Dakota State House will vote on whether to override Governor Doug Burgum's veto on the pronoun bill. This is a story WDAY has been tracking for you. The state Senate already voted to override the veto after Burgum rejected that bill last week. The bill would make it a crime for public workers to refer to people with pronouns that are other than what they were assigned at birth, and that even includes teachers in this. The House would need at least a 2/3 majority to override the veto. Of course, we're going to continue tracking this story for you. Stick with the news leader for updates throughout the day.
Meantime, North Dakota lawmakers have stripped down a bill that would have put minimum prison sentences in place for some crimes. They voted to take out an amendment proposed by State Attorney General Drew Wrigley. That amendment would have made a mandatory 3-year prison sentence if someone had a gun in a violent crime or drug crime. Now, if they fired that gun, the punishment would have then been 7 years. Wrigley says he wanted this because he said it protected law enforcement, but a group of North Dakota attorneys argued against these changes. They said criminal justice should be based on facts and evidence, not on emotion.
A federal judge is striking down a Minnesota law that requires a minimum age of 21 to carry a handgun in public. U.S. District Judge Catherine Menendez ordered Minnesota to stop enforcing the ban on 18 to 20-year-olds who are getting a permit to carry. The judge sided with gun rights groups who argue that the age restriction violates the Second Amendment. Menendez also wrote that the Supreme Court decision requires gun regulations be consistent with the nation's constitution rather than with public safety concerns.
Today, Senator John Hoeven will be meeting with local government leaders about the latest flood outlook and preparations. That meeting is taking place at 10 o'clock this morning in the Cass County Courthouse. Officials from Cass County, the city of Fargo, National Weather Service folks will be there. The goal of the meeting is to provide updates on local efforts and strategies regarding this year's flood outlook. That meeting is open to the public, and of course, with this big incoming storm, we're also watching how that is going to impact the flood outlook as well.
Yeah, WDAY will have a crew there, so we'll have you have updates for you on our newscast this evening. Today, President Joe Biden will be in Minnesota. He's going to be landing in Minneapolis a little later this morning. He's going to be touring Cummins Power Generation in Fridley. That company makes engines that use little to no carbon energy. They're instead powered by hydrogen. The company is also set to announce a $1 billion investment at its other sites across the U.S., so they can also make those engines. This visit, Biden's visit, is part of what the White House is calling the President's Investing in America tour.
All right, today to a former president, Donald Trump. He will be flying to New York City ahead of his arraignment, which is scheduled for tomorrow. It will be the first time someone who served as president will face criminal charges, and New York police are taking extra measures against protesting. We know that there are going to be metal barriers in place around Trump Tower. That's where the former president will be staying tonight. And then there'll also be those barriers around the courthouse. We've also now learned that tomorrow streets around that courthouse will be closed. Now, Trump himself, he will not be handcuffed, and the entire floor of the courthouse where Trump will appear is going to be cleared out for the entirety of that hearing. We don't know exactly what's in the indictment until that is unsealed tomorrow, but ABC News has learned it could contain several dozen charges, including multiple felonies. So, of course, we're going to stay on top of this story for you and have all the latest as it comes out.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo on this morning from 9 to 11 on WDAY Extra and InForum.com. You know he's going to be talking about this and probably taking a ton of viewer input as well. A new women's college basketball champion crowned last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say. LSU cut down the nets in Dallas after defeating Iowa 102-85. Iowa's Caitlin Clark. It's been so exciting to watch her and kind of get excited about women's college basketball because of her incredible talent. But she was a star, but LSU still won, took home their first title in program history. LSU's 102 total points actually set a new record for the most points scored by a team in a women's championship game. But
a lot of
all of that said,
about all the antics, I guess, after the game with the taunting of Caitlin Clark by LSU players, and it's been a whole mess online on Twitter and all that kind of things. People talking about it being classless, other people saying let them celebrate. I don't know. It's kind of a mess, so I'm sure Dom's going to talk about that too. It's a
I'm
big
interested
talker.
in his take on it because we're kind of trying to play it, very politically correct.
I'm sure he'll have a take on it.
He'll have a take for sure. So Hot Mic with Dom Izzo from 9 to 11. Today he'll probably be talking a little bit about Cody Mauch as well.
Yeah, he had a workout with the Steelers over the weekend. So Steelers hold the first pick of the second round of the draft. So that'd be a pretty good spot for him to go.
Yeah, love to track those pro Bison. So good stuff there. Remember, you can get a great deal on your InForum.com subscription right now. All of the stories we're talking about, you can find it in one place. Local news, national headlines, sports, weather. You can. We didn't even really talk about the live weather blog that our team's already, updating on this incoming storm. 99 cents a month for your first 3 months. That's the deal you can get right now for an all-access pass to InForum.com. Just go to InForum.com/subscribe to get that deal.
And then join us for all of our newscasts throughout the day, 11, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. We'll be back on First News tomorrow, 5 to 7 in the morning, getting you the latest on what you're preparing for as that winter storm bears down on us.
Yeah, it's a big one. All right, have a great day, everyone.
Bye.